recently, and when I started playing board games, I was really sort of enthralled by the idea of a legacy game. That is a sort of ongoing game where between each session you might change cards, you might change the board, you might put stickers, you might rip up cards, and it evolves and changes. And as I've been sort of playing more and more other stuff, the time commitment has been a bit of a thing that is alarming. But to talk about legacy games, the what you can get out of them and why you want to get involved in them, I've got from the Board Game BBQ, I've got Mike and Dan. Gents, thanks for coming.
G'day, mate. Thank you.
So there is a whole thing about legacy games and campaign games being pretty similar in that both of them involve like an ongoing time commitment for a group. And they sort of have that element of a lifestyle game almost. Like, so the difference between playing Pandemic Legacy and Kingdom of Death Monster, you know, maybe they're different style of games, but you're still, your group is still meeting up every so often. You're still playing the same game ongoing. Have you guys played games like that?
Yeah, I think you're right with that distinction as well, because Kingdom Death Monster is a campaign, but there are other games that don't have legacy in the title, but are still a legacy type of game. And as you said, it's something that the game evolves over time, not just follows a narrative as the story goes. So yeah, and I've played a bunch of them. We both have, but there's some great ones out there. Not just the ones that are legacy. And I mean, if I can just jump in straight away, because the Zombie Kids and Zombie Teen Evolution from Scorpion Mask are ones that I've actually really enjoyed with my kids, because it starts off as a really simple game. And then as you play, as you said, you add stickers, the board changes, the characters change, the baddies get harder, and it's a really great way to progress through a game rather than just going, here's a game and it's super difficult to play. It starts off easy and you start adding elements to the game as you go, and before you know it, you've played 15, 20 different playthroughs, and it's just changed ever so slightly every time you play.
Because the way you explain that reminds me of two games. The first is Aeon's End Legacy, which takes Aeon's End, strips stuff away as a way of teaching through the game and adding mechanics in. But then also My City, which is, they slight rule changes, which just, we're just changing the focus of the game by that much, but it actually changes that half an hour experience quite a lot, even if you're just tinkering with it. And that sort of made it fresh and interesting. Because I know you guys have played, I know you've both played Aeon's End and you've also played My City.
I have.
So what were your experience with those?
They were fantastic. It's fun when you, like you said, when you're putting your stickers on and creating something, you feel more attached to the game.
Oh, yeah.
Like you feel like you've contributed, and the game is going to be forever different because of the choices you made today. And that's what makes it really, really exciting when you play a legacy game.
It's like ownership.
Yeah.
So there's more involved. And some of the great legacy games as well. If Mike was to play all the way through, and I played it all the way through, the board state at the end of our two games would be completely different. So the experience has been completely different. And it's been his experience, and my game has been my experience, as opposed to just playing just a generic game where we've just gone through the story and played chapter 1, chapter 2, and we're both experiencing the same game.
It's like
Legacy games
It's
It's
like we're both going to watch the same movie written by different directors.
Yes.
And, you
had a part in actually the direction that the game went. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty evident in something like Pandemic Legacy, where your board is going to look so different to other people. Even if you've got the same basic narrative is happening, how that's going to affect your characters and the world that you've built and try to contain is going to be different, even if those key story elements are happening at the same month each time. It's going to be vastly different.
Yeah.
So I played a bunch of them, and I think at the moment I'm currently playing through King's Dilemma, which is a narrative-based game where really there's a bit of a voting system, but a lot of it is you get a card and you vote yes or no, and that's going to lead to different things.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more to the game, but that's basically it.
Okay.
And it was surprising how much you kind of get invested and sort of like, oh, this is good for my goals, for my family. I want to do this, and it's like, oh, we just put slavery into our city, but economics got boosted up because that's what my family wants. Oh, okay, there's some lasting impacts now.
Yeah.
And there's sort of, sometimes you sort of see that the world building that you're putting in in those games, which is exciting.
Yeah. And there's also the thing, the hard thing about legacy games is talking about it, because it's spoilery. You can't, it's like, okay, for Pandemic Legacy, for instance, where it goes through the 12 months of the year, I can't talk about what happened in September to Mike unless he's played it as well.
Exactly.
I don't want to ruin that experience for him, and vice versa, and there's other games. Or you get to the end and you go, and you might talk about it, and it's like, my game didn't go that way at all, because we've had completely different experiences.
But I also know, having played Pandemic Legacy Season 1, when you say September, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And there's milestones. And some of them do create the fantastic experiences. Some games, they're not as strong as others. I played Machikoro Legacy, and that was a bit of a drag to play 10 games of Machikoro. And then other games, I've liked a lot more. Do you have a favourite of the ones you've played?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I really enjoyed Aeon's End Legacy when we played it. But I think for me, my favorite Legacy game so far has been My City. I love Polyomino. That's a head first. But because I was so short, you could smash out a bunch of games really quickly, or you could just play one and then play something else. It was just really manageable, and just that puzzle element changing constantly, I found really engaging. And I think that could be a my first Legacy game for so many people, because it's such an easy starting point and the game grows in difficulty as you go. I think that's been my favorite so far. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I played that with my family during lockdown, and that was that of like one night we'll do the one envelope, which is 3 games, and they tweak the rules each time. And yeah, it's a very fun game. Who knew Ryan Kinsu was good at making games?
That's crazy.
My favourite probably is Zombie Kids, because I got to share that sort of legacy element with my boys. And you're marking off different achievements, and as you get to, once you played 3 games, you get to open the envelope, and just the joy of watching them open an envelope and get a new character that they can play, or new abilities for their character, or a new baddie's going to make it bigger. But also we'll also have fond memories of the first time we were asked to rip a card in Pandemic Legacy, because we played Pandemic to death. So to play Pandemic Legacy, where someone's like, "What now? We have to actually start ripping cards up, and we got new cards, and there's stickers," and it's like, it was mind-blowing.
I had fun with that. We recently played Clank Legacy Incorporated. Actually, that's another favorite. And my game group played the first game, and we had to rip up a bunch of cards. I thought I'd have fun with my non-gamer friends, where I took a photo of all the ripped up cards, and I said, look what happened. I invited friends to come play a game, look what they did. And my friends were commenting furious, don't invite those people again, how could you invite them? And I'm just sitting back laughing, going, they don't know what Legacy is. But who would think that? Who would think you're paying money for a game and you're ripping up, destroying things?
We actually didn't rip the first one.
Oh, really?
We just went, oh, you do it. No, I'm not going to do it. You do it. It's like, we'll just put it in the box. And then when the second one came around, it's like, all right, we'll start ripping cards up. We'll do what we're supposed to do.
Because there was a thing when Pandemic Legacy first coming out, with like, oh, you can only play it once. Like, well, no, you're playing like 15 to 18 games of Pandemic, which is more than most
enough.
people. Yeah, exactly. And there is that great sort of experience that you do it, and then it's sort of done, and you can look fondly back. But I think the hardest thing about Legacy games is getting your game group to like be able to meet constantly the same people again and again. Can be quite a challenge.
You got to put that effort in early. You got to
commit.
You got to lock it in and say, are we going to do this every week, every 2 weeks? When is everyone free? You got to try your best not to let a global pandemic happen in between a Legacy game. Just think of that when you're planning your next. But yeah, you definitely really got to seek out that commitment from people that they can make that time in their week. What's going to happen if we can't do it? You really need to schedule that in.
Gents, thanks for talking Legacy games.
Thank you.